This is the video for the January 2023 Algebra Regents exam. Multiple choice. When the expression 2 times x minus 4 minus 3 times x minus 5 is written in simplest form, the result is what? There's two ways to do this question. What you could do, the more traditional way, is to distribute, 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 distribute. When you distribute, you get 2x squared minus 8x minus 3x minus 15. Add together your like terms here. Negative 8x plus negative 3x is negative 11x, and you get choice number one. The easier way, the cheater way, is to type this equation, the whole thing just as it is, into your y equals, and then type in your choice as well into your other y equals, and hit second and table and compare them. If they match, then it's the same. It's the right answer. Or you could type both of them into your y equals and hit graph and find the match as well. This one will match. The other three choices will not match. The one that matches is your answer. In question number 2, the point 3 comma w, remember points are written x comma y, is on the graph of y equals 2x plus 7. What is the value of w? So you're trying to find the y. So all that you need to do, very simple question, type this equation into your y equals, hit second and table, and scroll down to where you see x is 3, and then go right across from it, and you'll see that y is 13. You could also do a check and things like that. You can plug in the 2, do 2 times 3 is 6, plus 7 is 13 as well. In question number 3, students were asked to write that in standard form. Now, standard form is your biggest exponent to your smallest exponent. And then your plain constant number is last, like your +1 or -5 is last. Which student's response is correct? Well, when you look at Ryan's, we have x to the third, then x to the second. This is really x to the first, and then you have your plain number. So that one's in order from the biggest exponent to the smallest exponent. So that is your correct answer. In question number 4, given f of x equals negative 3x squared plus 10, what is the value of the f of negative 2? There's two ways to do this question. You could take that negative 2 and sub it in by hand in for x. Now, you need to be careful. If you type this into the calculator, you have to put the negative 2 inside parentheses when you go to square it. If you don't type it in, it's really doing -1 times 2 squared. You really want -2 times -2, which is +4. If you don't type in the parentheses, you would get -4 there. So be very, very careful. Then we get a final answer of -2. The other way to do it, probably the simpler way, is to take that equation, type it into your y equals, hit second and table, and scroll up to -2. And you'll see that the y value is -2. In question number 5, which relation is a function? So if it fails the vertical line test, or if it has two x values that are the same, it is not a function. Choice number 1 here in the red is the correct answer. We have x values of 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of the x values are different, so that is a function. Choice number 3 here fails the vertical line test because there's two dots directly above each other. Choice number 2 fails because we have two x values the same. And here we're using the 6 twice. We have 6, 5, and 6, 7. So we're using the x value twice. Therefore, it is not a function. In question number 6, what is the value of the third quartile? The third quartile is your Q3. That is the right-hand edge of the box right here, and that is at 36. In question number 7, solve this equation for A. So the first thing that we want to do is distribute, 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 distribute. We want to add together our like terms. 2 plus 3 is 5. And now here, when you get down to variables on both sides, you do have your choice on what you want to do. I could subtract 5 from both sides. I could subtract 6a from both sides. I could subtract 3a like I did from both sides, or subtract 6 from both sides. I like working with the smaller of the two letters first because that will leave you with less negatives to work with. So I like doing -3a minus 3a. Now it's just a two-step equation to get this 3a all by itself. we're going to do -5 and -5, then divide by 3, and you get 1/3. In question number 8, you have 3 different people here. You have Emily, Jessica, and Chris. Which of the friends' responses best classified the number of messages they received each hour as a linear function? A linear function will be adding or subtracting by the same number each time. So it says Emily said that the number of messages she received increased by 8 each hour. So +8, +8, +8, +8. Jessica said that the number of messages received doubled every hour. That would be multiplying by 2. That would be exponential. Chris said that he received 3 messages and then 10 messages and then 0 messages and then 15. So those are all different numbers. The one that would form a line because you're adding by the same number each time would be Emily, choice 1. In question number 9, which expression is equivalent to that? 2 different ways to do it. You could do it the more traditional way. You're multiplying. This is really your base of your exponent, x plus 4. So the base stays the same. You add the exponents. 2 plus 3 is 5. The other way to do it is to type in this equation, the whole thing, into your y equals. Type in your choices into your y equals, and then second in table and find the match, or graph it and find the match. In question number 10, you're given the equation a times x squared, where a is positive. If she multiplies a by -2, when compared to f of x, the new graph will become what? So our original equation is just y equals x squared. Our new equation, we're sticking that -2 out in front. So this is our original one here in the red. This is our new one. It definitely got skinnier. It got skinnier because you're multiplying by that 2 out in front. The negative sign actually flips it and does a reflection over the x-axis, and that's going to make it open downward. So skinnier or narrower and open downward. In question number 11, Sunny purchases a new car. The car depreciates. Depreciate means the price goes down. So we want 1 minus the rate in our calculations. So immediately choices 2 and 4 are gone because inside the parentheses there where we work with the rate, we want 1 minus the rate, and both of those numbers get bigger. So looking at choices 1 and 3, the car depreciates 20%. We have to take and move the decimal point over 2 places when we make it from a percent into a decimal. So that's going to really be 1 minus 0.20. And our original value of the car goes out front. It's to the t power because it's for t years. So that would be choice number 3. It would not be choice number 1. That 0.2 that's inside the parentheses is really 1 minus 0.8. That's really the calculation that they did to get that inside the parentheses. So that would be an 80% depreciation rate. So be very careful there. A lot of people would pick number 1. In question number 12, you have 2 different equations. For which values of x are they equal to each other? A couple different ways to do it. The first thing that you want to do, since they're equal, we want to know when they're equal to each other. We could set them equal to each other. So the one equation equals the other. We want to get it set equal, one side set equal to 0. So I'm going to do -7x and +5 to both sides. That way those cancel out and we have it set equal to 0. Now that you have it set equal to 0, you could do completing the square. You could do the quadratic formula. I chose to solve by factoring because it was just a basic trinomial. What times what is 6? That adds up to -5. Well, that would be -2 times -3. -2 times -3 is +6. -2 plus -3 is -5. Draw my line down the middle, set both sides equal to 0, and solve. We get x equals 2 and 3. The other way to do it would be to graph each of those equations. When you do that, you get a parabola and a line. Where do they cross? They cross right here and here at x values of 2 and x values of 3. If you actually have those equations typed into your y equals, you could also hit second and table, and you would see that in the table, the x and y, or the y values are the same at x equals 2 and at x equals 3. In question number 13, the function f of x is used to model the amount of money he earned for mowing lawns, where x is the number of lawns he completely mowed. A reasonable domain for this function would be what? So the number of lawns he mowed. You can't mow a negative number of lawns. Real numbers can be negative, rational numbers can be negative, irrational numbers can be negative, natural or kindergarten counting numbers. Those would be one. He could mow one lawn, two lawns, three lawns, four lawns, etc. Natural numbers are not negative, so that would be the correct answer. In question number 14, which expression is equivalent to that? Two ways to do it again. You could factor out the greatest common factor first. All right, that's what we're doing here. What's the biggest number that goes into 2, 8, and negative 10? That would be 2. That greatest common factor goes on the outside. Then you're figuring out what goes on the inside by doing by distributing. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Then do reverse FOIL to this trinomial. What times what is negative 5? That adds up to 4. It would be negative 1 and positive 5. Don't forget to bring down your 2, and that matches choice 1. The other way to do it is the cheater way. Type this into your y equals, type this into your y equals, and you'll see that they match when you hit second and table or graph. This one will match, the other 3 will not. In question number 15, Ian throws the ball up in the air and lets it fall to the ground. The height of the ball is modeled by the equation negative 16t plus 6t plus 3. The number 3 in the equation represents what? Well, if you actually go to graph this picture, you'll get this picture, all right? It says the 3 is the maximum height of the ball. The max height goes above 3, so that's not right. I actually calculated it out. It's 3.5625. The height from which the ball is thrown or starts, that is correct. All right. I didn't circle it here, but that is correct. That's where it's starting. This is your time of 0 right here along the y-axis, and it's starting at 3. The number of seconds it takes for the ball to reach the ground, it hits the ground right here at less than 1 second. The number of seconds it takes it to reach its maximum height, that's less than 1 second as well. So it would be the height at which the ball starts. In question number 16, 32 teams are preparing for a basketball tournament. Which function best models the relationship between the number of rounds completed and the number of teams remaining? So I took and I graphed those points. This is your x, this is your y. Remember, f of x is the same thing as y. I can see that it is a single curve. Since it is a single curve, that is exponential. Absolute value would be a V shape, linear would be a line, quadratic would be a U shape. These are not going to go back up. In question number 17, in a geometric sequence, the first term is 4 and the common ratio is negative 3. That means we're starting with 4 and we're multiplying by negative 3 each time. So times negative 3, times negative 3, times negative 3, times negative 3. What is the fifth term? Well, when you eventually get to that fifth term, it's 324. In question number 18, we are rearranging this equation that they give you for T sub F. We want to know what T sub F equals. Well, in that original equation, we have MC times TF minus TI. We want to, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So divide by MC and divide by MC. Q divided by MC is just Q divided by MC. Now we have TF minus TI. To get the TF all by itself, add TI and add TI. You end up with that, which matches choice number 2. Number 19, when using the method of completing the square, which equation is equivalent to that? So we're going to work through completing the square. The first thing that you want to do is move your C value over to the other side. So plus 10 and plus 10. Then we want to go into our thought bubble. Take half of the B value and square it. Half of negative 12 is negative 6. -6 squared. If you type that into the calculator, you have to have parentheses. Otherwise, you'll get -36 instead of the correct answer, which is 36, because that's really -6 times -6. When we go and do that, we get this trinomial. 10 plus 36 is 46. Do reverse FOIL. What times what is 36? That adds up to -12. It's -6 and -6. I can simplify that a little bit by saying x minus 6 squared. And that matches choice 4. You don't even have to solve the rest of the problem. In question number 20, which quadratic function has the smallest min? I went and I graphed this. I see that the min, the lowest point of the graph, is at -3. I graph this one. I see that the min is at -2. The min here is at 0. The min here has to be somewhere below 0. All right. Just below 0 somewhere. It's not going to stretch down to like -20 or anything like that. So it's probably 0 point something. At most, it's probably -1 maybe. So the smallest one would be -3. In question number 21, which represents the same outcome as the sequence defined recursively here? We're starting off with 3, all right? And then we are subtracting by 4 each time to the previous number. So -4, -4, -4. A sub n minus 1 means the previous term. So we're adding -4 to the previous number, or you could say subtracting by 4. So -4, -4, -4, -4. Choice number 2 matches it. If the zeros, x-intercepts, roots, solutions, all 4 of those words mean the same thing, are -3, 0, and 4, which function could represent that? Well, the easiest way to do it is to go into your y equals, type in that equation. When you type in that equation, you see this graph. Well, here's your x-intercepts, -3, 0, and 4. So that matches it. So that is the correct answer. We could also do it by setting each term equal to 0 and solving. X equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, x minus 4 equals 0. When you solve those equations, you get, again, 0, -3, and 4. In question number 23, we want to cancel out numerators with denominator labels, hours with hours, days with days, feet with feet. What are we left with in the end? We're left with inches on the top and minutes on the bottom. So that would be inches per minute. And finally, in question number 24, Ben decides to sell hot dogs and pretzels. It costs Ben 50 cents for each pretzel, 50 cents for each hot dog and 40 cents for each pretzel. He only has $100 to spend each day on them. He wants to sell at least 200 items. Now, at least 200 items. He could sell exactly 200 or more than that, but he can't sell less than that. So the number of hot dogs plus the number of pretzels has to be greater than or equal to 200. That's going to be choice number 2 right here. He's not going to sell the hot dogs plus the pretzels is not going to be less than 200. It's going to be greater than or equal to 200. These two are wrong because these should be 100s because they're talking about the money he spends, not the number of items.